This is Jim Minion from Two Loose Screws. I'm listening to Barbecue Central.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire. Say it with me, fun and frivolous show. If you want to jump in this evening with a phone call or email, here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter, which you can sign up for over at the main website as well if you haven't done that. In about 12 minutes from now, where you would typically find third Tuesday of the month regular guest Steven Reichlin, Barbecue Hall of Famer, author extraordinaire, live fire cook like no other, cooking school class instructor, and the list goes on. I have asked Steven with, of course, peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Steven, can I please have the segment and let me have it back so I can invite somebody else on this time around because it's a pertinent competition follow-up segment. We all know that Memphis in May went off this past weekend, and joining me, none other than Lord of Q, and now tied with Big Bob Gibson on overall world titles at Memphis in May, Myron Mixon will be rejoining the show. Believe it or not. We got a segment with Myron. Looking forward to catching up with him and hearing about the weekend. 35 past the hour. We have a newcomer as well. You love fast food? Of course you do. A lot of you are fat. Love fast food. Mix it in where you can otherwise. How about a fast food reviewing expert? None other than the likes of Bill Oakley joining the show. That's right. Bill Oakley will be here. And we'll learn about Bill's background and then, of course, talk about how he ventured off into the fast food reviewing genre. You will find him, I think, exclusively on Instagram. If you do any type of Googling of Bill Oakley, you will find that he has perhaps one of the most accomplished pasts or backgrounds you have ever seen on the show, believe it or not. Emmy Award winner, writer for The Simpsons, lots of TV. The list goes on. Harvard educated, Lampoon as well. Come on. Unbelievable. And we'll have him right here on the show talking about fast food. Why not? Second hour, we'll find new quarterly guest making her first appearance, although it could be her second quarterly appearance. We missed her the first time around as we get through quarters here in 2021. The creator of Hey Grill Hey, TV star, products developer extraordinaire, recipe developer extraordinaire, Susie Bullock will join us. And Susie went to Memphis in May this past weekend, so we'll get her reaction as more of a spectator/walker around her, although she did partner up with a team and take part in some portion of competition. So we'll get all the Memphis in May feedback. We'll also talk to Susie about getting a product to market and what all that entails. I know we've been doing that with Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, but it would be good to get a different perspective here of somebody who is been well established in the market and how you go about bringing those products in, what sells, what doesn't, how do you find a co-packer, how do you ask those right questions and vetting and all the fun stuff. So if you're thinking about bringing something to market here in 2021, it's a competition or it's a conversation that you will want to take on as well. And then depending on where we end with Susie, I'll hold the open segment towards the back. Of course, we have yet another passage to be found in what I refer to as the reference guide to horse meat consumption for humans. And I have one picked out, or the next one picked out, ready to share with you. Should time allot. So that's what's happening. Myron Mixon and Bill Oakley in the first hour. Susie Bullock in the second hour. Perhaps another passage in the reference material of horse meat to close out the show. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. For a live video feed of this show, you can go to the following areas: Facebook and Twitch /BBQ Central Show. Also one on YouTube /RD Rempe. I want to give you a little internet reaction to something that should have never been reacted to, and it was easily one of the most reacted to things ever. And whoever put it out, TripAdvisor or whoever it was, put out a list somewhere last week revealing who they were picking as the top barbecue restaurants in the area. I'm sorry, not only in the area, but in the country. So I don't want to get all hot and bothered about this because the minute I saw it, it signified clickbait or let's get drive traffic to the website. I think it was TripAdvisor. It had such booming barbecue metropolises as sitting in the number one position and whom we all wildly associate with barbecue as New Orleans.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Sixth on the list. Sixth on the list was none other than the capital city of Ohio, Columbus.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I have been to Columbus any number of times already this year. I have been around plenty of people talking about food and where to go to eat. Not once did barbecue come up in the conversation. Not once. Little bit of a smattering of talk about Jeff Ruby's, further smatterings about Hyde Park. They got a lot of okay chains down there if you're into that kind of a thing. You can go to North Market, talk about North Market. Never did anybody mention barbecue in relation to Columbus, Ohio. And there were plenty of other locations across the nations. So don't worry. Don't fall for it. What's rule number 2 of the show? Don't get hooked. And plenty of you got hooked. New Orleans actually released an article yesterday saying that they know that they aren't the number one city for barbecue in the country. They didn't have to say that. Everybody knows it. Remember, don't get hooked is almost rule number 1 of the show. And if we weren't allowed to mention names on the show, it would usurp and jump to number 1. Don't get hooked. Don't just click because. Don't get all hot and bothered because you see the likes of Columbus and New Orleans, Seattle on the list. Realize what's happening. Just driving traffic. Also, I got plenty of emails over the week asking me about the songs Meathead referenced at the beginning of our segment last week. First and foremost, I will not.
Andrew, you are not the father.
I am not going to be playing those on the show ever. Those were actually bits that I wrote and produced for another internet talk show many, many years ago. They have nothing to do with the show. They were, of course, hilarious and raunchy, and I will never feature them on the show. Never. I won't even send them to you if you ask me in a private email. They're disgusting. They were funny because they were show-related about the show I was listening to and writing for. But outside of that, I would never let anybody listen to those. They're horrid in a very funny way. Listener feedback from a couple weeks ago as we set up for round 2 of American Idol next week. Greg, happy to see and hear the second season of American Idol Barbecue Central Show Edition is back at it. All 5 of you have what? Big balls. I would not want to be judged by your kids, Greg. They are ruthless. Do they know that you keep a roof over their heads? Ladies, lighten up. Lucky in Georgia, let me tell you something. Those ladies know exactly what they're doing. I've given them a task to judge, and they are making no bones about it. They are judging as harshly as it gets. So if you like American Idol, Season 2, you got into it last month. Round 2 is coming next week. Before we get to Myron, let me talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies. Will get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been hand-picked and approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. So they have the championship rubs and seasonings, of course, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Double Secret Steak, Regular Money, the list goes on. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that's easy to use and will please everybody, you might want to give Granny's a try, especially if you're sick and tired of what's existing out there on the market today. Good by itself, good as a base sauce that you can tweak, up to you. And aside from the premium selection of rubs and sauces, they also offer grills and smokers. Maybe you're looking for a versatile cooker that's easy to use. Check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? All right. Take a look at that Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're not a backyard barbecue enthusiast, you can peruse the website and then ask questions about ones that you think might work for you. 877-828-0727, or shop their website at bigpopasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back with Myron Mixon to recap the big win over at Memphis in May this past weekend. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control technology, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans already there. Other accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit them online at bbqguru.com or call them at 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. All right, my first guest this evening, billed as the winningest man in barbecue, penned a number of successful books. We'll talk about one of those here this evening after we get through the competition talk. He has taught hundreds, if not thousands at this point, of people how to cook better barbecue at his classes. You've seen him on TV. The list that goes on. We race to the hotline and excitedly welcome back guest of the show, Myron Mixon. Hey, Myron.
How you doing, brother?
I am absolutely fabulous, Myron. Appreciate you making time for the show here. First and foremost, of course, we wish you congratulations on the big win this past weekend at Memphis in May. But I think there's quite a bit to unpack as we look back over the course of the weekend. First of which is there was no Memphis in May last year, so this is the first time back at it. As 2021 starts to roll around, people are a little bit unsure of what the competition landscape is going to look like. Me and my embedded correspondents actually bet against Memphis in May actually happening this year, but of course we were proven wrong, thank goodness. It looked a little different than it has in years past when it's traditionally taken as Memphis in May play. So just from a high level, what were your thoughts about the competition actually coming off, and how did it look and feel to you versus some of those other years?
Well, I mean, because we didn't have it last year, I didn't realize. I've been going there since 1996, and I didn't realize how much I actually missed it. Last year, everybody was all up in there. Restaurants closing, shutting down. I mean, ours shut down for a little while in Alexandria. You were just proud to get through the year. But as 2021 came on, you didn't realize how much you missed the championship, missed going to Memphis. And as February rolled, March getting closer, we were really excited about making it, but we were really anticipating getting that call, getting that email saying we're going to have to postpone it again. But I didn't realize how much I did miss it. I really didn't. Again, I've been going since 96. Not saying it's old hat, but you see a lot of your same friends up there, and that's one of the big things about it. But I'm not gonna say it got monotonous, but it was the same routine. It'd been going the same way for so long, we took it for granted. And when it didn't happen, that's when you realized we missed it. But with that being said, we get there. Don't have as many teams, of course, because they're separating and spreading. And plus, you have the city of Memphis doing some big expansion in the park that limited the size of the contest. But also, it was limited in the fact they couldn't sell but X amount of tickets to stay in compliance with Shelby County, which is the county Memphis is in, and the city of Memphis's COVID restrictions. So, instead of having 100,000 people walking all the way through the park, you had 10,000 total. That included team members, teams, volunteers, uh, EMS, police protection, you know, that included them. So you could probably put a number of probably maybe 3,000 actual ticket purchasers coming through the gates. And all of them had to be bought online. You couldn't buy a ticket at the gate. All tickets had to be bought online.
So it looks and feels different. I wonder, as a competitor, in some way, do you appreciate this format more because you're certainly one of the more high-profile teams for any number of reasons? A lot of people see you on TV. They want to get a piece of Myron. They want to be around the camp. You don't have that many people walking around and milling about. Does it make it an easier competition for you as far as executing the plan?
I'm not going to say it doesn't make it easier. Of course it does. I mean, you're not in any way distracted, and you don't have any. You can stay focused on the comp. With that being said, I still miss seeing the fans. I miss seeing barbecue fans, people that plan on coming there, plan on seeing all the folks they've watched on TV, plan on seeing all the folks that see around the circuit during the year. And, balancing it out, I just soon had all the folks there. I mean, that's what barbecue's about. I mean, that's what made you can call it a sport, and it is a sport. It's what made competition barbecue what it is. Competition barbecue wouldn't be where it is if we all went out in the middle of a cow field or a corn patch and just cooked by ourselves, just teams only. You got to have spectators. You got to have people watching. You got to have enthusiasts that make this what it is today. The teams ain't what makes this. I mean, we can all get out here in my backyard in my compound, and then we can all cook, but nobody's going to know about it. The notoriety, people picking their favorites, going around sampling barbecue, going across the country with all that. The fans make the contest. It's not the contestants.
Martin, when you look at the actual competition itself, when I talk to the pitmasters on the show, everybody's preaching consistency and running the same program, blah, blah, blah. I would assume at Memphis it's a similar mindset. It's a little bit different competition than some of the stuff that we would talk about on this show because it's its own deal, its own judging and so forth. Certainly you're used to all of that. You did two things going into this competition that I didn't anticipate that you would do. One, you switched cookers, and two, you switched injections. So I'm wondering,
Correct.
Were you just throwing it up against the wall because this is the first one back since pandemic and let's see what happens, or was there a lot more practice and effort into making those decisions?
Well, there's a lot more practice. Since 1996, when I first started competing, I've always cooked on water cookers. And our brand of Myra Mix and Smokers, we call them H2Os. And, that's the element symbol for water. And I've always cooked with water pans, always. And never have I ever been to Memphis in May and not cook on water cookers. With that being said, we started and we built a Gravity, and we've been building Gravity charcoal smokers, but we built a Gravity hog cooker. And I've been playing with this thing now going on probably 9 months. I have the original prototype here at the compound. I always wind up with the prototypes to work out any kinks. And we've been using them at our cook schools. And I do a cook school a month, so I get to do a hog a month. On top of that, I've been cooking practice hogs. And I have never in my life cooked practice hogs for any contest or any. When I was running for Team of the Year in Memphis May back in the day, I was doing 45 contests a year. I never cooked a practice hog on anything. But I started seeing the kind of hogs I was turning out at cook school without them being wrapped. Had to cook at a lower temp, around 225, 235. Where I could cook on the water cookers at 250, 275, even 300 if I got behind, it could take it because of the water and the steam. But I was getting these gorgeous hogs without having to wrap these hogs. But also in Memphis in May, there's another element. Really and truly, you're not supposed to have water hookup at Memphis in May. They don't give you water. They give you spigots throughout the park where you're supposed to go and fill up buckets, jugs, whatever, for your use. And a lot of times everybody can get a hose hooked on and, you don't have water for a period of time. But there's always a stress factor in there. If you're running water cookers, that you're going to run out of water.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to go through all of that. And another factor was having to tote wood, get wood. If it rains, you got to keep wood dry. And with these gravities, I started getting great results using lump charcoal mixed with some wood chunks. And I didn't have to fool with the wood. I didn't have to fool with the water. The only thing I had to make sure was I had electricity to run the gurus. And that's what we did this year. But the element you don't know, you may know, I took two brand new our 72XC Gravity hog smokers, and I set them on the trailer. Never cooked on them until we got to the championship when we put the hogs on. Never been cooked on. Now, with that being said, they're identical to the prototype I've been practicing on, but these had never had any fire in them. Never been heated up.
Is that a big risk, do you think?
It's not as big a risk as people try to make out. Really and truly about the you need to burn off and all that kind of stuff. That came in the day where people were using steel cylinders. A lot of times steel comes with oil in them. Some of the metals that come with a fine film of oil on them to keep them from rusting. And you need to burn that off. That's what you're burning off inside of a smoker that's a lot of times was hand built. But all these, that metal's not like that. When using chrome poly racks, didn't have that kind of issue. But I will tell you this. I sat down there with these hogs with my guys until about 3 a.m. before I went to the room to get some rest. From 10 p.m. Friday night to about 8 a.m. Saturday morning, the park was without water. Somebody had run over one of the spigots, so the park was without water, shut it all down. So we made the right call in not cooking with the water cookers this time.
What about the injection? What did you find that needed to be changed, or did you just think there needed to be change for change?
We changed, I guess you could say change for change, but we changed some of the flavor profiles in it in the form of the juices. My injection contains apple juice, and also has got some peach in it. And we added some other flavors of juices in there with it to balance it. Made a big difference, made a real big difference.
So obviously this win pulls you in a tie now with Big Bob Gibson's for overall Memphis in May wins. Chris was separated there for a number of years, but you caught up to him this past weekend. So I'm wondering where this win ranks, considering everything that's happened over the last 16 months, if this makes a Memphis in May win a little bit sweeter than some of the ones in the past. Certainly, a Memphis in May win is as good the first time as it is the 51st time, I'm sure, but I'm wondering if this one sets apart in a certain way because of everything that's happened.
Well, of course, I mean, getting the fifth one, that's awesome. I mean, that's a feat that I never dreamed would happen. And, I always wanted to get one, and I got the first one in 2001. Um, the one that's special about this, the last time we won it was in 2016. And there was a few of my black shirts, my teammates call them black shirts because that's what we wear, that they couldn't make it back then. I had two or three. They're tremendous teammates. They go all the time. They here at my cook schools to help with the classes. But for whatever reason, they wasn't there in 16. Well, those guys were there this time. And that really what made it special. They got the rings in 16, but they wasn't there when we actually did the hoisting the trophy and they know they're part of the team, but until you actually there, you feel the adrenaline, you hear the cheers, the camaraderie between your teammates, coming back to your trailer after winning. Uh, it was a special time, especially for them.
Do you have any more competition set up for the rest of the year at this point?
Well, my my brother come in here today, Tracy, who runs the compound back here where we do all our classes. We'd already said we didn't want to do the Royal, and because we got so much going on, we're doing classes every month. I'm booking December right now because the other months are full.
Wow.
Fixing to probably pull it down and go into January 22. And I told him, now he's wanting to go do the Royal. He said, well, don't this get us an automatic into the invitation? I said, I don't know, Tracy. I don't know what time the cutoff is. And I got him, but now get this. I bought him Black Crow tickets for him and his fiance back in 19.
Yeah.
The Black Crow coming back at Phillips Arena in Atlanta. And they had to reschedule. Didn't give them money back, reschedule. Well, it's the same weekend, I believe, as the Royal. I said, and I'm not going to go unless he can go. He said, can you get your money back and let's go to the Royal? I said, let me tell you something. I said, you go out, we do good in Memphis, and now you want to go cook every weekend. I said, we can't do that. But, we'll see. We'll see if we make the Royal or not. He's worrying the hell out of me about it. But we all want to do more MBNs, Memphis Barbecue Network contest. It's the only place you get to cook a hog anymore. Mm-hmm. And they got one over here close to us that is supposed to happen in Americus, Georgia, which is about 30 miles from me. And it's the first weekend in June. So if that happens, we'll be there cooking that whole hog there.
Just for the folks that don't know, by the way, world titles come in 2021. Obviously, this past weekend, 2016, as you had mentioned, 2007, 2004, 2001. Also, let's not begrudge the fact that in 2020, 2016, 2007, 2004, 2003, and 2001, Myron was the world champion in hog as well. So 6 times a hog champ and 5 times a world title that followed on the year they won the hog as well. So certainly a very accomplished Memphis in May resume, to say the least. So as we kind of transition out of that and bring up another part of the business, which is book writing, you've done a number of really good books. The last time you were on the show, we kind of mentioned that you were down 100 pounds at that point, and you were,
right.
Kind of realizing the age and how you felt, and you were just making some changes, and then lo and behold, the cookbook season hits, and I see keto barbecue from Myron Mixon. So I'm wondering if you started keto, back in 2019, and it's a lifestyle that you've kept on going, or if you've just transitioned to that as you've kept that lifestyle.
When I was talking to you last time, I'd already had this, and I was keeping notes, making notes for the book. And I went to my doctor August in 2018. Don't have any health problems. I mean, my blood pressure is like 112 over 72 a lot of times. No, I don't take any cholesterol medicine and none of that. But I weighed like 339 pounds. And the heaviest I got in that time period is like 345. And I went to the doc, and he told me you really need to look at getting some of that weight off of you. Not because he said for your health too. I mean, as far as your heart and stuff, but your knees, your joints, like your ankles, your hips. He said they love you for it. And a good friend of mine, Jay McGear, used to talk about a two-ton body on a one-ton chassis. Well, that's what I had, a two-ton body on a one-ton chassis. And I started and he recommended keto, and I went to ask him questions about it. And he said, it's a diet you probably could do because it revolves a lot around protein, which is meat. And I got on it, and in the first 9 months, I lost 100 pounds. And I stayed on it, stuck to it. But it's a diet that I can sustain. I can do it. A lot of people get on diets, they can lose a lot of weight, to start with, but is it sustainable? Is it something you're going to be able to make a lifestyle out of and stick to it? Because a lot of times you get on a diet, you'll lose the weight, then you gain it all back plus some. And, I make a comment about it, and I'm sure there's been a diet where you eat dried rice cakes and drink water for the rest of your life. Well, yeah, you're going to lose weight, but can you stick to it? And it wasn't hard for me to drop the carbs, quit doing that, and a lot of sweet desserts, which now you got the monk fruit extracts, the 100% pure ones that you can use to substitute sugar, works out really well. But the keto diet was something that I could really make work for me, and may not be for everybody else, but I could take food that I like, barbecue food, and people get a misconception about barbecue always going to be this, make you gain weight. Well, 9 times out of 10, it's not the meat. It's always those barbecue sides, the loaded baked potato salad, the barbecue mac and cheese, the peach barbecue beans, those type things what puts weight on you, the
Yeah, the
carbs.
beer that goes along with the barbecue.
Yeah, the beer.
Yeah, no doubt. So that started hitting front porches last week, 5/11, I believe. So you can buy it wherever you would get books anyway, Amazon or the like. Just go ahead and search for Keto Barbecue and Myron Mixon, and you will find it quickly. Last thing that I want to ask you about here before I let you go, Myron, and I appreciate the time this evening as always. Next Wednesday, we will be announcing live here on this show exclusively the 2021 Hall of Fame inductees. There's a current list of 9 folks that made it through that names process. Bill Arnold is on there again. Ollie Gates from Gates Barbecue. Meathead from AmazingRibs.com is on it for the 3rd time in a row. John Marcus makes his 2nd appearance. Ed Mitchell is a first-timer. Rodney Scott's a 2nd-timer. Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippen. You know all those names, of course. I mean, if you're any kind of student of the game, you know those names and who they are. But and I'm not going to ask you who you voted for unless you want to tell me, which I doubt. When you peruse that list of 9, are there any names that stick out to you as folks that are just special to you or that have endeared themselves to you?
There's a lot of them on there that deserve. Everybody in there deserves it. But I'm going to tell you somebody on there that I'm not going to tell you I voted for him or anything like that, but one person on there was Arnold. That man has persevered through a lot. And if you know anything about his backstory, he's had a lot of things going, like all of us. We have a lot of things going on in our life. But he developed a sauce that has I guess you could say, over the competition world, has really set his place out there. And he never gave up. And he struggled through his life problems, sickness, and everything else. Again, no different than a lot of us. But the things he's getting now in life, he deserves it. He deserves everything he's getting.
Myron Mixon is your 2021 Memphis in May world champ and the team of Jack's Old South, of course. And you can get his new book, Keto Barbecue, wherever you find books. And we'll see how the Hall of Fame drops out here a week from Wednesday. Myron, really appreciate catching up with you again. Congratulations again on the big win, and we'll look for you again soon.
Thank you, brother.
You got it. There he is, Myron Mixon, on the Barbecue Central show. Great to get caught up with Myron. Lots of good stuff there, and Really appreciate that recount of the weekend, especially since it was missed last year, and who knew what was going to be going on here in 2021, but real glad that they were able to pull it off, and he's your winner, tied with Chris Lilly and the gang over there at Big Bob Gibson's with 5 world championships apiece and a 6-time hog champ, if you were listening. All right, we got Bill Oakley in the green room, and we'll get to him here in just a second. Let me talk to you quickly about Kosmo's Q, based out of Oklahoma. Kosmo's has been providing both backyard and competition cooks World Championship level rubs, sauces, injections, soaks, and brines. They have exclusive wing dust that's also available right now. Best of all, everything they make here is made in the States with all natural ingredients. They are continuing to break new grounds in rubs and seasonings and sauce and the injection world, but results not only proven on the competition trail year after year, but also in the backyard as well. More and more backyard warriors looking to amp up that barbecue game. No better or easier way to do that than by picking World Championship quality rubs, sauces, injections, and marinades. And that's exactly what Kosmo's Q brings to your table. It's not just barbecue. They have the grilling game covered as well. And Kosmo's knows a little something about grilling. He's a World Championship steak cook, for crying out loud, so you know you're going to get the good stuff. You want to save 10% on your order? Do this. Go to the website, Kosmo's Q. That's Kosmo's with a K, the letter Q.com. And as you check out, use promo code SPRINGBBQ10, all one word, SPRINGBBQ10 when you visit KosmosQ.com. And you can save 10% off your entire order. The wing dust. You got to try the wing dust. It's magic. I like the salt and vinegar myself, but the buffalo one is really good too, especially if you run out of buffalo sauce. I don't know if people actually do that, but if you did, it's really good. All right, enough of that. Bill Oakley coming up next. We're going to talk about fast food reviewing and lampooning. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information, to view other products, or to purchase. You can also do it at Amazon.com as well. Central Lights, do you love fast food? I know many of you do. In fact, it's as popular as ever. So much so, there are people on the social media channels doing fast food reviews for a living. My next guest, killing it on the Instagrams right now. He's doing fast food reviews, and I'm happy to have him on the show tonight to talk a bit about his background and how he got into the review game. So we race to the hotline and welcome in first-timer to the show, Bill Oakley. Hey, Bill.
Hey, nice to be here.
I am happy to have you here. Thanks for making time. And before we get into the fast food reviewing game or business or niche or whatever adjective we want to throw at it, I'm excited to have you on because I'm interested in the Instagram stuff, of course, and how you got into it. And we can discuss some of those trendy topics of the day as it relates to the fast food industry. But let's do a quick check of Bill's background here so we can get a proper introduction for the folks that don't know you. And I think, as I was doing my own research, that we might have our very first Harvard-educated guest here on the show, if you can believe it. So can you give us a bit of a background on you professionally and where you are home-based out of right now?
Absolutely. I'm a TV comedy writer by profession. I have been writing TV comedy for many years. I was the head writer of The Simpsons back in the day, along with my partner Josh Weinstein. We wrote a lot of episodes. We ran the show for a couple seasons. I also worked on Futurama, Portlandia, Disenchantment, and now I'm the head writer of Close Enough on HBO Max. And that's my actual paying job. This fast food thing is merely a hobby. It doesn't pay any money so far.
We've quickly glossed over the fact that you went to Harvard for college, which I think, in many instances, it's like a goal for some folks. When I was looking at college, like I was hoping to get into Ohio State, and back in '92, I think that was everybody else's safety valve. I was just hoping they would say yes. By the way, they said no, and I had to go to community college. But Harvard is a completely different animal. Certainly, one of the highest institutions there for higher learning. And also, I think the thing that appeals to me even more than that, you were part of the Harvard Lampoon, which has spawned like some of the very best comedy minds of generation after generation. So I guess, were you always looking to get into Harvard? And what was it like being in the Lampoon?
I was not looking to get into Harvard. I actually wanted to go to Stanford, but I got rejected. But what happened was I kind of played when I applied, I kind of hit my comedy credentials hard. Like I had written, Josh and I had started a humor magazine in high school, which in retrospect was actually really good. It was basically the same quality as a college humor magazine, but it was just in high school. And I think that my grades were good, but it wasn't like I was world class or anything. I think I impressed them with my publications skills. And then I immediately wanted to get on the Lampoon. And fortunately, I was able to, because I was a cartoonist and they needed some cartoonists back in those days. And I was on there with Conan O'Brien. He had gotten on he was a president when I got on. And then a number of other people who've gone on to TV writing, like David X. Cohen, who created Futurama, Paul Sims, who created News Radio, and a number of other people that I worked with over the years who've been my college friends. We were all kind of there together. And honestly, that's what I spent all my time doing in college. I attended the classes and I did acceptably, but I really majored in the Lampoon. I pretty much, from the moment I got on till the moment I graduated, I spent all my time there working on the magazine and our specials and our pranks and things like that.
So was the goal at the end to be in a position where you could go pitch yourself to a TV show or start your own show or something along these lines, or to get noticed because like leveraging the Lampoon name to get into show business in some way?
Well, in those days, it was more like for magazines, like because we still had National Lampoon. National Lampoon was founded by guys who graduated from the Harvard Lampoon, and they paid us a licensing fee. And back in those days, National Lampoon still existed and was still pretty good. And so it was kind of like you'd want to get a job there, but as it was on the decline, a lot of people were starting to get jobs at Letterman back when Letterman was still on NBC and things like that. And it became, I never had thought of that as a career option, but then when I saw other people doing it, Josh and I decided to give it a try. And we didn't have much success at first. It took us about 4 or 5 years to actually get our first decent job.
I mean, I could go on and on about TV and all these things. I love the business of business and all this. Let me ask you one last question before we transition over into the food stuff. If you were doing what you were doing now versus when you were doing it, given the way TV has changed and consumption of media has changed, do you think that your career would look different? I mean, taking out the shows and all that stuff, but do you think you could have had a similar career track, or could it have been better if you were in the Lampoon now getting ready to graduate?
I don't know. It's a different kind of thing these days, because back when I was on The Simpsons, there were still only really 4 TV networks, and there were a couple, there were some cable channels, and it was a different universe in terms of TV writing. Now, there's 1,000 shows, and there's 100 new ones coming out every day. And also, they don't really, it's much harder to build a career out of that these days, because the shows are, they have 6-episode orders. You were only working for a couple weeks a year. It takes a lot of hustling. And I don't know if I would have been capable of it had I not slid into that lucky job at The Simpsons.
We're talking with Bill Oakley. You can find him on Instagram at @BillOakley. 30,000 of you plus are following him right now. Are you a live fire fan, eater, cooker, both?
Yeah, by live fire you mean barbecue, right?
Yeah, barbecue grilling. That's like my term that I'm trying to get generated in the industry.
I do not. I wish somebody would give me a fancy smoker, but nobody has done it. And so I still have a pretty nice grill, and I grill stuff. I grill ribs and things like that, chicken, burgers, things like that. But I haven't really done any like hardcore barbecue type smoking stuff, which I would kind of like to get into.
When does fast food reviewing come at you? Was that just eating a burger one day and you're like, I could talk about this? Or were you watching some other things and you wanted to try your hand at it?
Well, I've always been very interested in fast food because I didn't get it as a kid, because I grew up in the country, and back when nearest McDonald's was like 70 miles away. So you get to go once a year for your birthday. And so I was just like video games. I was also deprived of video games, and now that I've made up for that as well. So, but I think what happened is I was unduly fascinated by fast food, especially when new stuff would come out. I always want to try the new stuff and see what kind of new inventions, new burgers they had, and be like the first person to get it. So I used to just tell people about my opinions, and then I started putting them on Twitter. And then one day, 3 years ago, I decided, hey, it's a lot easier just to film a video of yourself than it is to type all these tweets about your opinions. So, and I kind of just transitioned and started putting these videos up on Instagram, and they got some attention right away, like from McDonald's and from the head chef of McDonald's. And they were like, hey, congratulations on your new career as a food blogger. And I was so delighted that I kept on going. So, and that was 150 videos ago.
From you telling us about why we should listen to you from a food review, why do we want to follow you? What endears you to us if we're somebody that likes to get fast food reviews from folks?
Well, first of all, I should say I didn't invent this genre. I mean, there's dozens of people doing it on YouTube who've been doing it for years. Like Dame Drops is the guy who invented it. Apparently, he's got over 1 million followers. I can't compete with people on YouTube like Report of the Week and Dame Drops who have 1 million followers. I put my old reviews on YouTube to archive them, but I'm only on Instagram. So the thing about Instagram is it only allows 59-second videos. So my videos are short. And that's a big selling point for me, is that in these days, every time somebody's like, I want to show you a video, and they queue it up and it's 15 minutes long, I'm like, ugh, can we see the short version? And so on Instagram, my reviews are always 59 seconds long. And then I also post stuff on my story almost every day that is of not necessarily fast food. Sometimes it's local stuff here in Portland or things that people mail me. I've been getting a huge amount of stuff mailed to me of all types, liquor, oysters, Canadian potato chips, Scandinavian licorice and stuff like that. And then I don't necessarily review it on my story, but I talk about it and I show photos of it. And sometimes if I love it, I will include it in my end of the year awards show, which is my other claim to fame on this thing, is the Steamy Awards, which are named after the Steamed Hams sketch I wrote on The Simpsons. I have an awards show at the end of the year with 10 categories for all the best things I ate. And then I get celebrities to give out the award as well.
Nice. So the platform makes sense. You want to keep it short. Instagram's 59 seconds. You say you go to the stories. Now that you had mentioned that you're getting a lot of stuff that people are sending to you, is there a expectation that if somebody sends something to you, it's going to make it on your feed at some point? Or, to me, I just say you're going to have to pay me money before I would even think about it, because I am fully ethical and capitalistic at the same time. How do you attack that, being somebody that's gaining notoriety here and now people are just sending you stuff?
Well, generally, there's a difference between when people, just civilians, send me stuff. Like people in Canada say, you got to try my favorite potato chips. And I always post that stuff. I show, I don't necessarily say whether I like it or not, unless I love it. But when companies send me stuff, it's a different matter. Generally when it's a small local company or whatever, I show the thing and then I talk about it if I like it. If it's a big multinational corporation, I don't feel that obligation. I feel that I need to be more honest about that stuff, because that's what people tune in for. Is this burger any good? And generally, the fast food companies, I think, are a little wary of me, because that's part of why I'm known as the Gordon Ramsay of fast food, is because I'm brutally honest. And so I tend to, people really do tend to take my opinions seriously. So about that kind of stuff, I am generally really honest. And like fast food companies generally don't send me stuff. They only send me stuff if I like the product after the fact.
Bill Oakley joining me here on the show, and we're talking about his background getting into this food review game. So not reading too much into this or anything, I assume that this is just fun. You'll continue to do it, and there's no real major end game coming along here, or maybe you're creating a pilot TV show off of this, as the main character is a Instagram food reviewer.
I don't want to write a scripted show about this, but I would certainly be happy to go around being Guy Fieri type, going to places and trying the food. In fact, I would love to have a show like that, about whatever regional pizza styles or something like that in America. But I'm not really working towards it. I'm just kind of doing it for fun, and bringing people along for the ride, I guess, at the moment. I wouldn't mind if it started to pay in some other way, but at the moment, I'm just having fun doing it.
All right, Bill, so enough of this bullshit. Let's get down to business here. Over the past few years, we have seen an explosion in the fast food realm concerning one item and one item alone, the chicken sando. One reserved solely for Chick-fil-A for any number of years has now seen an emergence of many other fast food chains bringing their offerings to the table. My first question to you is, in your expert opinion, of all things that could have ignited a border skirmish amongst these chains, why the chicken sandwich?
I know the answer to this because I did a couple like podcast things with Mike Harris, who used to be the head chef at McDonald's.
All right.
When this whole thing started. And according to Mike, it was basically everybody. It was when Chick-fil-A started to expand nationally. Chick-fil-A used to be a regional chain that was only in the South. And as it began to expand nationally, the fast food owners and operators got worried about them cutting in on this. And they demanded that a chicken sandwich be made and sold. And I think the first out of the gate was Popeyes. Actually, if you recall that was almost 2 years ago now. And it still honestly is the best one. And I've ranked them all. Or I've ranked some of them. I can't get the regional ones like Zaxby's and stuff like that.
Can we not jump into that yet, because I may have prepared a question for something.
Oh, okay.
Like
Sorry.
that.
Sure. Okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
So everybody's jumping in because Chick-fil-A
because
is
they're afraid
expanding.
of
That's right.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A cutting in on their market share, and then when Popeyes started, they really panicked, and everybody started rolling theirs out, and then just recently, I don't know that I think Carl's Jr. is probably the last one, and they just launched theirs this week.
Is that the Mother Clucker?
No,
wait, Carl's Jr. That's Rally's.
Hardee's. That's Hardee's in the East. Yeah.
In 2019, as you had mentioned, there was a chicken sandwich war that was Chick-fil-A going against the upstart chicken sando of Popeyes that you had just talked about. Popeyes blew Chick-fil-A out of the water. Genius marketing, generating crazy demand from the general population, and in my opinion, solely, totally speculating, a well-played sandbagging of their chicken supply caused the fast food world to almost spontaneously combust. So, self-proclaimed movie producers who appeared on the show back then sued Popeyes because, in a quote, Big Chicken needed to be taught a lesson. And 2021, or had 2021 not introduced us to this global pandemic of coronavirus, do you think that 2020 would have taken that race even further with even more players in the game?
I don't think it's possible for there to be any more players in the game. I mean, which place doesn't have a chicken sandwich now, and which place doesn't have a hand-breaded one? Like, it's also, there's the new generation of chicken sandwiches. Like, we all know that Burger King had that chicken sandwich for the past 30 years, and so did McDonald's. It's these new ones that are basically copies of Chick-fil-A or Popeyes that are the new generation. Often they're called hand-breaded. And so, yes, but I think that now, literally, like with Carl's Jr. and Hardee's this week introducing it, I can't think of a single place that doesn't have this, that's not playing this game.
When I was watching the calendar year change from 19 to 20, I think one of our predictions, I have a round table of sorts at the end of every month with the embedded correspondents, as I affectionately refer to them. They're malfeasance, but nevertheless. We thought, hey, chicken sandwich has been absolutely nuts in 2019, and as the year turns, we think that this thing is just going to take off. And then I thought with the coronavirus, there was a backing down of momentum. Now, honestly, I'm not a huge fast food guy per se, but for as much as I was hearing about it on the periphery of what I'm covering in 2019, it seemed to drop off rather quickly there in the beginning portions of 2020. So, A, is that a fair assessment? And then B, did it pick up again here over the last couple months, as you're talking about with the last two probably entrants into the market?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it would have gone a lot faster had it not been for the pandemic, because from what I understand from Mike, some of these places had to install new equipment in their restaurants to make this stuff. These hand breading stations, like Burger King had to do it, and I assume Carl's Jr. did as well, and that requires re-architecting the kitchen and stuff. So yes, obviously, I think the pandemic slowed it down by 6 months or so, but now we're back into it. big time with Burger King and Carl's Jr. and a couple other ones just in the past months launching theirs. But I think I'm actually ready for it to be over now because I want to go back to hamburgers, which I vastly prefer to even the best chicken sandwiches.
All right, so let's do it. As you had mentioned, you are currently rating chicken sandwiches. I was going to place a wager of 32 of my most special dollars that you might have one, but I don't even need to wager because you said you did. So I assume it's ever evolving with ones that you try, especially that are new compared against the one that you have tried. So going from 5 to 1, can you give us your ratings of current chicken sandos?
I think I can. I have to just make sure I have the right number in my head. Okay. I'm counting here on my fingers. Okay. Tied for 5th place. KFC and Carl's Jr., both of which are a B-. Okay, now remember, I'm not doing regional chains like Zaxby's or Whataburger or whatever. We don't have those out here. Okay. 4th, Chick-fil-A. They've been bested at their own original game. 3rd, McDonald's, which really did. This is their new chicken sandwich is the best chicken sandwich they've ever had. It narrowly beats out the Southern style chicken sandwich, which was excellent from a few years ago. 2nd, much to everyone, especially my surprise, is Burger King, and this is because Burger King has often been the butt of my jokes because they've had such a horrendous selection of new items over the past few years. This is a shocker because it is so good. And this is what I found out again from Mike and from other people in the fast food business. This is because Popeyes and Burger King are owned by the same company now. So basically all the know-how that Popeyes had, including this hand breading station, which they had to install on these Burger Kings, made their sandwich. It's almost identical to Popeyes, except for a slightly different spice array on the spicy one. So yes, highly recommended. Best thing on the Burger King menu, best thing they've introduced in 30 years or more. And then finally, Popeyes, which one, I spoiled that for everybody, but I think people probably knew it was coming anyway, because Popeyes can't be beat. It's the spice, and when I say, I mean, it's the spicy one. There's a slightly different ranking for the non-spicy one, but the spicy one is the coin of the realm.
Let me ask you this question. This was the most, in 2019, this was the most popular question I asked folks when I was just doing the toss-away question at the end about have you had the Popeyes chicken sandwich? But yes, of course, most of the people did. I said, rank it like this. So let me ask you this question, Bill. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst thing you have ever eaten in your life, 10 being the best thing you have ever eaten in your life, where does the Popeyes chicken sando rank?
For me, I would say a 7. I don't go out seeking out chicken sandwiches. Like I've had so many, and you're talking about in fast food, in the fast food universe.
I'm talking about the best food ever.
Oh, yeah.
Best
I would
food
say
ever.
It's a 7. It's not in the top 100 best foods I've ever had. No. Why? Are you thinking it would be higher or lower?
Bill, I'm telling you, I have had people on this show tell me that the Popeyes chicken sandwich, of all food taking into account, this is what I'm talking about, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best of all food that you've ever had. People have told me that Popeyes chicken sandwich is a 7 or an 8, if you can believe it. I find that to be
I'm right in agreement with them.
I can't believe that. I mean, there have to... a 7 or an 8?
Wait. You think that's too good or not good enough?
That is incredibly generous, I think. For a fast food chicken sandwich, it's a fast food chicken sandwich.
Well, I don't have a lot of I don't eat a lot of food that's really fancy. So, this for me, it's not something I would. I have 4 or 5 better chicken sandwiches within a 10-minute drive of here, that are all like locally made. Also, there's 10 fast food hamburgers that I'd rather have, and there's 60 types of pizza I'd rather have, and so and then we're not even talking about extremely nice food that I don't usually have very much. But yes,
so would those rank at like an 8 or a 9 then? Those other things that you're just talking about?
Yeah. Oh. Mm-hmm.
I'm just looking for perspective.
For me,
so the next time we have you on, this is going to be like the recurring question to Bill Oakley is, whatever product we're ending with that night is, where does it rank on the Barbecue Central show of 1 to 10? So I'm just trying to get no shade. I mean, everybody's palate. I always say, I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk many years ago when I was learning wine. Trust your pal, as he would say, or trust your palate. If it tastes good to you, then screw everybody else. You eat what you like, and you rate it where you rate it, and then it's always fun to just kind of talk about it and go from there. So what's on the agenda here over the next number of weeks that we might be able to look forward to?
In the fast food universe, there's not that much happening other than this McDonald's BTS meal. And the McDonald's meals are so... All these meals, they have like the Travis Scott meal. It's just like, it's a Sprite. You get they serve you a Sprite with your meal. They're so... The BTS meal is, the Korean K-pop super group, BTS. It's going to do on a tour. And so this is the BTS meal. And the one thing that they're going to introduce that's different this time is 2 sauces that they have in South Korea that we don't have here. So there's something to look forward to there. That's the big piece of fast food news this month. There's there's other trivial news, like Del Taco's attempt to take over the Mexican pizza thing that Taco Bell dropped, stuff like that. But honestly, that's on the horizon for the next month. That BTS thing is going to be all you're hearing about in the fast food universe.
All right. So if you're into the fast food stuff, keep your eyes and ears open for BTS. In November, when it comes back out again, we'll talk about the McRib. And I'm sure we'll have spirited debate on that as well. In the meantime, you can go over to Instagram and follow Bill Oakley at @BillOakley, and you can check him out online as well. Bill, really appreciate the time this evening and letting us get to know you a little bit better. Continued success, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks very much. It was great to be here.
You got it. There he is, Bill Oakley, right there, talking about the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Again, if you're just tuning in, Bill's rating, 5 was a tie for KFC and Carl's Jr., 4 was Chick-fil-A, as he said, getting bested at their own game, and 4th, I mean, how embarrassing for Chick-fil-A. 3rd is McDonald's. I did have a McDonald's hand-breaded, not spicy chicken sandwich yesterday by accident, and, it was about as not good as it gets. Number 2 was BK or Burger King. And number 1 is Popeyes, to no surprise, of course. So we thank Bill Oakley for coming on and getting to know him. And that could be a bit of a recurring segment if he's open to that. So looking forward to getting on with Bill Oakley through the rest of 2021. All right, we're a little late here. So let me get back on the clock. I'll quickly talk to you about Pits and Spits. Since 1983, they've been handcrafting smokers and grills in Houston, Texas. In that time, Pits and Spits has established itself as one of the premier brands in high-quality offset smokers and, of course, more recently, pellet cookers. Pits and Spits setting itself apart by using heavy 7 and 10 gauge stainless in every cooker, fully welded construction that you can feel when you use the unit, and a 304 stainless roll-top lid, and front shelf on every single smoker. So why does it matter? Well, by using higher quality materials, Pit and Spit smokers reach and maintain temperatures, allowing you to worry more about the meat than the heat. And by providing a fully welded smoker, you don't have to worry about the grease rolling out of the barrel or that grill rattling apart as you move it through the backyard. And you have an heirloom quality piece of equipment to pass down to the kids. Now, where some people are focusing on low-cost providership, Pits and Spits focuses on craftsmanship and using quality materials. Are there cheaper ways to make these? Yes. But Pits and Spits, not a fan of tack welds, cheap stainless, and electronics that you can't trust. Having in-house manufacturing gives them complete control of the design and standards, not something you find at other places. Their steel suppliers are bringing in materials to be used in some of the harshest environments around, so they can perform in any and all conditions, and their controllers are made right here in the States, giving them unimpeded transparency into the program. Pits and Spits has a dealer network across the country. If there isn't one close to you, call them in the shop. Ask Coy what is right for you. 844-650-6250. Whether you're a backyard grill master looking to cook steaks for the family or a competition team looking to smoke 50 racks of ribs, Pits and Spits has a product for you. Check them out online, Pits and Spits, all spelled out. Or check them out in the wild across social media with their handle at Pits and Spits. We reset for the second hour, so let me do a quick transition-y thing that's going to seem really disjointed, and we'll get back on the clock and go from there. Stick around. We'll be right back.
continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Bill Oakley again for joining us last segment. This portion brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck, because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro for you high-heat maniacs. Okay, that was Bill Oakley. You can find him over on Instagram at @ThatBillOakley. And before that, Myron Mixon came in and talked about Memphis in May. He also talked about his new barbecue keto book and did not give me his votes for Barbecue Hall of Fame that will be revealed next Wednesday. Shameful. But I asked. All right, we are wrapping the first hour, heading to the second. It will be an abridged open, and then we'll get over to Susie Bullock from Hay Grill Hay. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show.
Barbecue Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet 4 wieners.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. If you missed the first hour, you missed Myron Mixon, you missed Bill Oakley. Myron hasn't been on in 2 years. Bill Oakley was a first-time guest. You can get all that podcast for him starting tomorrow for the first hour, second hour on Thursday. So to come on the show this evening, Susie Bullock from Hay Grill Hay in about 6 minutes from now. And don't forget, you can follow me socially, of course, at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and Snappy Snaps /BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitch for a video feed. Also /RD Rempe over on the tubes. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 177, brought to you by executive producer John Solberg. Bringing you back to May 24th, 2016, featuring Travis Clark from Clark Crew Barbecue. In that episode, we talked about how the 2016 season went for him at that time. And during this time, he was coming off his 3rd contest win in a row, and we talked about how the season was tracking and what he was looking to do for the balance of 2016. The year prior, he had won Team of the Year and said in 2016 it was absolutely not going to run for a back-to-back Team of the Year. So if you are not aware of Travis or you would like to hear him, make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast feed, and you will get it on Friday morning. Don't forget, if you have a guest or segment you would like to hear again, email John and tell him you'd like to do it. He'll put one together for you. John, Jon, at the bbqcentralshow.com. All right, so we talked with the winner of Memphis in May overall. First hour, Jack's Old South's pitmaster, Myron Mixon. If you don't know the awards themselves, let me go ahead and run through them quickly for you. Of course, overall, Jack's Old South, as we had mentioned, whole hog. As I had mentioned also in the first hour, Jack's Old South winning hog. Then you had hometown BBQ, Yazoo's Delta Q, Smoke Master Championship barbecue team, and 5th was the Beached Pig. Shoulder results, Blues Hog. That's an interesting story. I think I might have to have Tim and Brad or at least one or the other of them on to talk about it because they are traditionally KCBS cooks only. And this was their first Memphis in May. This was also cooking as a team, I think. And the first time they had ever done whole shoulders. They do Boston butts at KCBS. So this was the first time they did whole shoulders. And then, of course, they end up winning the shoulder category. Mexico barbecue team second. People's Republic of Swina was third. Fourth was Southern Hoggers Barbecue Company. And fifth was Cool Smoke. With the year off last year in 2020, Tuffy Stone was the winner in 2019, so he does not repeat, obviously. And in the ribs category, you had winning at Bluff City Smokers, Smoking on the River second, Soused by Noon third, BBQ fourth, and My Swine Championship Barbecue Team was fifth. I will give a special mention to first Tuesday of the month, regular guest and pitmaster of Killer Hogs Barbecue Team, Malcolm Reed, for sixth overall. Unless there's another Killer Hogs that I'm not aware of, but I believe that's Malcolm's team. We'll find out in his podcast on Friday. And then there were some other ancillary categories that you can look for over on the memphisinmay.org website if you are so inclined. We mentioned them with Myron. Let me go ahead. If you're just tuning in and you're not familiar with the release of the final names of the Barbecue Hall of Fame that was done this past Wednesday as an exclusive stream with Emily Park over there at the American Royal, the manager of events at the World Series of Barbecue. So there's 6 names on this list that have been on at least once before last year. There's one that has been on now for his third time in a row. So one of the second-timers is Bill Arnold, who's famously known for Blues Hog Barbecue. A first-timer on the list is Ollie Gates from Gates Barbecue there in Kansas City. A third-timer on the list in a row, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Another second-timer in a row is John Marcus. Of course, you know him from Barbecue Pitmasters and other TV shows that he has done. He did a short film called Barbecue. Oh, geez. Barbecue Pitmaster. Oh, but well, there's barbecue in the name, and Kuwait is in the name. Johnny Trigg and Tuffy Stone and a couple other cooks went over. I think it's the Kings of Barbecue, Barbecue Kuwait. I knew I could do it. I did it. So he's done a number of TV, movie stuff for barbecue. Ed Mitchell is a first-timer. Of course, you would know him from a restaurant called The Pit that he has summarily walked away from, and he's now at a new restaurant that he's teamed up with his son. Rodney Scott is a second-timer. Joe Traeger, first-timer. You ever heard of Joe Traeger? He created Traeger pellet cookers. I could share a completely funny story about the name Joe Traeger, but it's not going to be worthwhile for me to do it. Darren Worth from Iowa Smoky D's is also on the list for the second year in a row, and also rounding out the list and on for a second year in a row, Leanne Whippen. So a accomplished list, to say the least. I'm not going to weigh in on any of that here this evening because we will save that for the embedded correspondence next month before we get to Season 2 of American Idol Barbecue Central Show Edition, which will take place in the second portion of the second hour next week. But we'll do a lot of Barbecue Hall of Fame talk. We'll give you our picks and then see how wrong we are again. Before we get to Susie, I'll talk to you quickly about Yoder Smokers. Yoder Smokers designs and builds all of their products in the United States and building pride through craftsmanship and world-class customer service. That's the backbone of how the company has been made. This approach translates into what can truly be a bespoke-style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family, and honored to have that trust placed in the backyards of America. Pellet grills to wood-filed offset pits and charcoal grills, consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the Yoder Smokers name. Make no mistake, Yoder Smokers' flavor-driven design is unique to each style of pit, and the team has developed their cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that is rooted in their handmade products and defines the integrity of their core values. American-made, quality and endless flavor, the benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. Go to the website, yodersmokers.com, and grab yours today. Whether you like the pellet cookers, whether you like the offset, or just the charcoal grills, they got them all there, yodersmokers.com. We are back with Susie Bullock from Hey Grill Hey. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion being brought to you by the Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 2 sizes with a host of accessories. Whether you are a beginner or professional, definitely cooker you want to add to the arsenal, visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Hey, we had a new quarterly guest rolling in here, but she's not new to the show. She is friend of the show, creator of Hey Grill Hey, Susie Bullock. Hey, Susie.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Have that fresh from Memphis in May look about you. The
oh, yeah.
tired,
I'm probably
smoke-riddled. Oh, so
I still smell
You
like
are
hog.
pulling
so
it
it's
off.
a good time.
Pulling it off without a doubt.
Thank you.
All right, so we were sound checking, and I was like to you and Todd, what was the motivating factor to go out to Memphis in May? Is it like a recurring thing or what? So what's your history, if any, with Memphis in May?
None prior to this year, actually. I mean, most people that follow us know we don't really do a lot in the barbecue competition scene. We spend most of our time, I mean, at least for me, I want to develop recipes for the backyard cook, the home cook, because most people aren't cooking competition style food for their families. Generally, competition food is very labor intensive, very intense flavor profiles, and that's not something you want to eat a ton of. It's designed to be one bite barbecue. So I spend most of my time developing recipes for the home cook and the backyard enthusiast. So competition hasn't really been on my radar, but when Carrie Bringle texts and says, "Hey, do you want to come cook against me at Memphis in May?" you say, "Yes, sir."
Wow, I would say hell no and hang up the phone, but I guess that's why you're a competitor and I'm kind of a weakling.
I mean, I met Carrie Bringle the first time I ever met him was as a competitor, was cooking against him on Barbecue Brawl with Bobby Flay and Michael Simon a couple years ago. And, that's where Carrie and I linked up initially and we hit it off and he is so fantastic. We ended up in Nashville on a road trip in September, and he was so kind to bring my whole family on a tour of his restaurant and show us the pits. And, my son left with a quart container of Carrie's barbecue sauce because he said it was better than mine. So Carrie loaded him up and saran wrapped a quart of barbecue sauce for my son to take on the road. And that kind of, barbecue family is one of the things that I love the most about the barbecue community. And so getting a chance to go back to Tennessee and to spend some time with Carrie and actually cook against him again was something I couldn't turn down. And to make it even sweeter, the team that I cooked on in Memphis in May was headed up by Carrie's wife, Delania Bringle. And so it was kind of a husband against wife situation, and they were actually the only all-female whole hog team at Memphis in May. So I got to cook on that team, and it was a phenomenal experience. So for me, the motivating factor was just, being a part of that barbecue community and the ambiance and that family atmosphere that I think a lot of us have really missed over the last year or so.
Did you hear a lot of that talk about, we didn't realize, Myron had referenced it in the first hour, that he had been going to Memphis in May since 96, I think he said, and then not going last year made him realize that it wasn't getting old for him, he said. I mean, he's done a lot of winning there as well. He's won now 5 world titles and 6 hog championship titles as well. So, I mean, he goes and wins quite a bit. But, I mean, in his voice, it sounded like it's like a little bit of a grind. I mean, Memphis in May is its own monster anyway, as you saw firsthand in person. It's very expensive, all this other stuff. So for him to say having that year off actually helped make me realize what a special event this is. Did you hear a lot of the similar sentiments?
Yeah, I think everybody was just it's work and it's expense. And, I had somebody comment to me that in prior years, people could recoup the cost of their tents through sponsorships or selling tickets to events. There was none of that this year. And so the teams that were there were teams that really put out cash to be there because they wanted to be there. And so I think it meant a lot to everybody to be there. Everyone that was there really wanted to and was really invested in that experience and in the community. And I do think the overall sentiment was, just gratitude and it was happy. It was such a happy time and everybody was in a good mood. And, the barbecue community is amazing anyway. But just to see everybody pull for each other and, finals are called to see who the final three are. And one team starts cheering and it's like everybody starts cheering for that team because they made it, even though that meant that we didn't.
Yep.
Like we were just so excited for everyone to be, experiencing that moment at Memphis in May. And it was just fantastic. It was so fun. I loved it.
Would there ever be an interest in putting together some kind of ringer Hey Grill Hey team to go back to Memphis at some point and give it a whirl, or just
Yes.
no way?
Honestly, yes. I mean, I have said for years, I don't compete. I don't want to do competition barbecue, but I really think like there is some magic fairy dust at Memphis in May because it even like turned my cold, dead anti-competition heart a little bit. And I was like, dang it, this is fun. And, I competed, I entered 4 ancillary categories for our team and I helped with the hog and I didn't even like walk, but I was like, I think I could do this. So I told Donamo, sorry about the trailer we're going to buy and the smoker. And so I don't know. I don't know if it'll be in the next, I certainly don't think it'll be in the next year or so, but I can definitely see down the line, putting some time and effort behind a competition barbecue team because darn it, it was so fun.
Yeah, Susie Bullock joining us here from Hey Grill Hey, the website heygrillhey.com, and you can follow Susie over on social media as well at Hey Grill Hey. So do you think it would be worthwhile going back next year to see what would, I assume, would be a full-blown Memphis in May to see how much different it can be, believe it or not?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would totally go back. And everyone that had been there before said, because this was my first Memphis in May, so I didn't get the full experience according to everyone that I talked to that had been there in years past. They were like, oh, this is nothing. Like, this is so mild compared to, the hordes of people that are typically here and the volume and the pace. So I definitely want to go to another one and see, maybe I can't actually hang at Memphis in May. When it's full blown. So we'll see.
All right. So that's the Memphis in May recap, and appreciate you letting us into how you saw it there for those of us that couldn't make it. And let's transition over a little bit to talk about what I refer to as the business of barbecue. I mean, certainly we know you as somebody that's on camera doing videos, as you said, mainly geared to the backyarders. But every once in a while, there's one of us that really gets into this deal, and we make our own homemade sauce, or we're inspired trying one of your rub recipes or trying somebody else's rub recipes through a cookbook, and then throwing some of our own stuff in there, making it our own and throwing it around. And people are like, oh, Greg, that's really good. You should sell that. And you want to help me do that? No, well, no, but boy, you could sell that. And,
but you should.
I've done this long enough to realize there are a number of inherent risks of the business of barbecue. And for the past 5 months, actually, we've been tracking Meathead's progress as he is currently in the middle of bringing 3 rubs to market. At some point, he's going to be bringing, it was like 2 or 3 sauces to market as well, but those appear to be lost at sea at this point. And he refused to consult with me on how to ask the best business questions in that regard, but I digress. So I thought it'd be interesting to get your side of it here, Susie, as somebody who is established and well-respected. Along come the rubs and sauces. So when did you decide, or at what point did you decide that you wanted to start getting into this portion of the business, the rubs and sauces?
Oh, geez. It was less like a decision and more like we got pulled into it a little bit almost. So Like you said, I geared toward recipes. So recipe development is my sweet spot. I love being in the kitchen. I love being outside by the grills, and I love putting stuff together and combining ingredients and seeing how things taste and seeing how this works and trying different methods for cooking things. And one thing that we posted on our site after it took me a few years to really, I know it seems silly because it's just a barbecue seasoning and it's not super special, but it took it took me a couple of years to really dial it into where I wanted it. And that was actually one of my first really popular recipes on the website. It brought quite a bit of traffic, was my sweet rub. And I think one of the reasons that was the case is there just weren't a ton of people at the time posting their rub recipes online. You could find a few here and there. I know Meathead has been around and posting recipes like that for a long time. But there just weren't a ton. I mean, I started Hey Grill Hey 6 years ago. And so I started posting all my recipes and people were making it and they were loving it and the reviews were fantastic. And I was just happy people were visiting the website, right? And then the comments started coming in pretty quickly. Hi, I make about a gallon of this a month. Could you please just bottle it for me? Because I'm sick of buying the individual ingredients and taking the time to put it together myself. It would be super convenient if you just had it on the shelf and I could order it from your website, or, I could pick it up somewhere. That'd be great. And I brought this up to Todd and he said, no. Because he had worked. Todd is my husband, by the way. I don't know. Not everybody knows that. He's usually behind the camera. We call him Taste Test Todd because nothing makes it on the website unless he approves. And the same thing was kind of proving to be true in the business space in terms of, what avenues we were pursuing to build our business. And he came from an accounting background. He was actually a CPA and worked in public auditing. And he said, I have dealt with companies that have to manage inventory. And I'm telling you right now, you do not want a company where you have to manage inventory. And I said, well, the people want it, Todd. Like, they really want it. So it was a little bit of a push and pull kind of between, our audience who was asking and me who thought it seemed like a very good idea. Yeah. And Todd, who was running the numbers, going, this is not smart. This is not financially sound. So it took us about a year of kind of back and forth. And then we started looking a little bit more into it. And that's kind of how we ended up in the game. And things have kind of fallen like dominoes. And we can talk about that process. That's how I ended up in the game, was people asked. They wanted the seasonings in a bottle. So we figured out how to get it done.
Easy enough. So once the year transpires and there's some type of an agreement made, the next logical step, you probably don't have a commercial kitchen at home where you're legally allowed to make stuff in bulk. So now you got to go source what we call a co-packer in the industry. And I'm wondering how long that took and what kind of a process was that like for you?
So initially, we looked into what's called a cottage license, because various states have different laws regarding what's called a cottage license. And that means that you can actually package at home without a commercial kitchen, as long as there are disclosures on the label that this is a homemade product. It was not produced in a commercial facility. And Utah allows that for things like farmers markets and selling out of your home. Say if you bake cupcakes or something like that, or you have a home bakery. So that was what we looked into first. We quickly realized that this would not serve our online audience because we would have to ship product over state lines. And license laws are local. They don't apply state to state. So that's when, like you said, we had to start looking for a co-packer. And we called several. We started Googling, first of all, like local co-packing spices, Utah, like just random combinations of words that we thought might lead us to a hit, because a lot of times small businesses aren't particularly well optimized for SEO. So they're not going to show up first thing when you Google. So when we first started looking, we were seeing bigger co-packers that were buying that ad space on top so that they would show up. And their minimum order quantities were like 10,000 units. And we could not justify, I mean, if it ends up being $3 a bottle to produce a large bottle of seasoning, that's a lot of cash out the gate.
Yeah.
That we didn't necessarily have. We couldn't really pony up tens of thousands of dollars for a large order of seasoning when we didn't even know if we could sell 10. We had not tested selling a food product to our audience. Prior to that, our recipes are free. We have like trained our people, come to Hey Grill Hey for free crap. And so training them to buy stuff, I'm like, I don't know if anybody's going to buy this. So we wanted to do a smaller run, and we wanted to be able to test the concept. So we kept searching, and we actually found somebody in our neighborhood that owned a co-packing facility. And he did not do seasonings. He actually co-packed pharmaceutical products, and he co-packed a couple other things, but he had just landed a contract for like a vanilla company and was like, okay, I got my food certifications. And he walked us through the process of, sourcing spices and making sure the recipes were the way that we wanted them to taste. And he was willing to do a small run for us because he was starting out too. And so it really did take like a couple months of digging and searching, and the universe opened up and the sky landed in our lap. And it was absolutely like, it felt like the skies had parted. Wow. And, an answer to a prayer almost. And so we were able to do our 3 launched with, and I think we just did 300 bottles of each just to see what would happen. And the margins were terrible because we had to pay so much because we were buying things in small quantities. But I just wanted to know if we could sell any. And then I would have proof of concept to move forward with larger order quantities, which would bring our margins down. And so we did. We launched them, I think, a week and a half before Christmas in 2018.
Good time.
And we sold out in 24 hours.
Wow.
All 3. All flavors, all of them were gone in 24 hours. And so then Todd was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. And at that point, we had kind of proven the concept, and it was still not cheap to run those 300 bottles, but it was an investment that we could stomach. It was something that we felt was a good first step for us to take to see if this was something that we could do. And the labels that are on our products now, we found somebody that could make those labels for us. I think we paid $200 for the design, and I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what we needed on there. We figured out how to put SKUs on a label, and we figured out what nutrition facts were required on a label. And Google, we like to say we graduated from the University of Google because we didn't, there's no school for this kind of stuff. When you're an entrepreneur, you figure it out as we go. And that's what we did. So we learned a lot, and our first, those first labels are still on our bottle today. Not for long, but we've been taking small steps throughout the process. And now we're with a larger co-packer that is able to, get us better prices on our materials because all they do is season. And so we have better product prices, and we're able to do larger order quantities. And but it was incremental steps a little bit at a time.
Did you re-interview the bigger companies then when you realized that, the guy that you were with is good for the proof of concept, but now to really bump up into the market, you're going to have to go to somebody else? Was it a complete re-interview process then?
He did our first couple runs for us, and then we were actually approached by a company who said, this is what we do full time. We sent them our ingredients list. They gave us a price breakdown, and we did look at a couple places, and we picked the one that seemed to suit us best. And there is a process also for development, from taking your seasoning blends or your sauce blends from a home kitchen to a commercial production. It's a very different process making things in large quantities versus making a small batch at home. So it is a testing process to make sure that the flavors are coming back right. And once we felt like we had dialed in our recipes and the flavors were hitting the way that we wanted them to, then it was kind of an easy go ahead. But even that first order, that was a hard check to write, man. every time we reorder, it hurts a little bit.
What's the process like then? So you send them the recipe, they send you back, I would assume, trials of what you sent them, in hopes that it tastes, I guess, either exactly the same or relatively the same. How many times did it go back and forth, or was it a pretty quick hit?
I think my first batch took about 3 or 4, but we're actually releasing 3 or 4 times back and forth, sending samples and tweaking. Oh, this is too much pepper. We need smaller pieces of rosemary. We want, just different things. We want to cut back on the cayenne a little bit to really hit right, because it's very interesting. In addition to, producing things at volume and how different that is than producing it in your home kitchen, ingredients are different too. So stuff that I'm buying from my grocery store, I don't know how long that's been on the shelf. I don't know how fresh it is. Even cayenne peppers have different Scoville ratings, even though they're all cayenne pepper, and the same with chili powder. So they might have a spicier cayenne than I have at home. And so even if they're following the ratios exactly, and they're putting exactly in what you tell them to put in, it could taste different based on the ingredients they have and where they source them from. So it is an important process to get that testing done. So finding a co-packer that's willing to walk through that process with you, I think is really important. And, one thing that I liked about my co-packer is they've always said, this is your baby and nobody knows what this is supposed to taste like better than you. We can make it and we can say, ooh, that tastes really good. But the reality is we don't know exactly how it's supposed to taste. So that's why that testing process is so important.
I've talked to a number of folks as they're going through this particular part of the process. There ends up becoming hurdles where the co-packer is telling them, hey, we get that this is what you want to do, but if you do it like this, you're going to price yourself out of the market. Or it's the ingredients aren't always going to be as consistent, and that means your product isn't always going to be consistent, and people are going to be like, well, why does one bottle taste a little bit different than the last bottle that we got? Does your co-packer bring you through those learning points and then also say, hey, instead of using XYZ ingredient, you can use this instead. It'll still give you the same kind of flavor, but maybe doesn't cost as much. That allows you to get to whatever price point that you're looking for and attain margin percentage that you're looking for. Do they take that time with you as well?
I think a good co-packer will. And because, your success is their success. The more you sell, the better it is for them because the more frequently you're reordering. So a good co-packer is going to be a partner with you because they want your product to taste great. They want your product to be consistent. And, a lot of times I didn't go into this knowing what producing a commercial rub would take. I just knew what it took in my own kitchen. And so the information that I've learned through the process came a lot from my co-packer. And there are some times where I have put my foot down and said, like, no, we're willing to lose a couple cents on each bottle to maintain the integrity of this particular ingredient. And that's, I think a good co-packer says that's fine too, because at the end of the day, they're my seasonings and my name's on the bottle. And so I get to decide. And if that means I have to raise my prices or lower my, you know what I mean? I've found that, finding a good co-packer is a partnership. And like I said, they want your products to sell. They want your products to be delicious and consistent so that you're selling a ton and then ordering more because that's good for them too. So yeah, I think it's a good partnership and I think it's a good educational experience to go through that process. But I also think you as the creator ultimately have the final stamp on anything. And you get to say like if it's working or if it's not working. And if your co-packer is not listening, then it might be time to find another co-packer. Because I do think it should be, I think you should have good back and forth. I think it should be educational. And I think good co-packers are going to listen to what you want out of your product.
Let's talk finances for as much as you feel comfortable, because I think this is probably a really important part for people that are looking to do this.
Yeah.
Much like book writing these days, 15 years ago, you could probably strike a pretty cool book writing deal, make a really good advance, make money at it. And fast forward to where we're at today, and a lot of people are doing books. It's not for money. Really, it's just to continue to keep the brand pressed out there. Maybe make a couple bucks, but it's not a money-making opportunity like it was. Similarly, I think people think when you get into the products retailing business that at some point, maybe sooner than later, you're going to be finding all this magnificent wealth and private jets and so forth. So, holding your success aside, Susie, what do you expect really? Are you in on a first order, whatever? And it's different from co-packer to co-packer, whatever their minimums are. But, are you in 10 grand? Are you in 12 grand? Are you in 15 grand before you turn out to sell? potentially?
I mean, our first order, because we were able to do such a small order quantity, it really wasn't that high. And Todd and I set a cap, said this is our budget and we have to find somebody that'll work with us within this budget. And so when we were able to break even on our first order and even make a little bit, we said, okay, there's a potential for this to be profitable as we scale. And so I do think it's important to prove the concept, because I think you certainly can run headlong into a $25,000 order thinking that, you know, your sauce and your seasoning is the absolute best thing to ever hit the market, and then sell none. And that's a really terrifying prospect. And so we were very fortunate. We weren't building a brand around the products. We were offering products to complement an existing brand. And a lot of people don't have that benefit. Sometimes they want to do the rub and sauce, but they don't have a following built already. And so they're trying to essentially build parallel businesses, their online presence and their product company. And so it's definitely not a get rich quick overnight scenario. Even for us, you know, we have millions of Facebook followers. We have tens of thousands of YouTube subscribers and Instagram followers and whatever. But even having that, we knew it was an inherent risk to get started, and we knew it wouldn't be an instant success. For us, it felt like starting over almost. We were starting this rub and sauce company from scratch, and we bootstrapped it the whole way. So we were fortunate to have, you know, cash from Hey Grill Hey to make that first $5,000 payment or whatever it was to get that first order through. And then we kind of used the momentum from each order to kind of build and fill the next. And so I think we broke even our first year. We didn't lose money, but we didn't make money that first year of selling product, because everything that we made, we put back into another order and put back into the next order and put back into the next order. And we've continued to do that. And so I think it'll be a couple of years for us. From starting the business until now, this might be the first year, our third full year, where we see a profit. And so it's definitely not a get rich quick scheme, but I do think there is a lot of potential for us to grow over the next several years.
I mean, it sounds like the smart move is to realize that profit margin, especially your net, is going to be minimal. It's now a completely oversaturated market. Everybody's got rubs. Everybody's got sauces. You go into the grocery store, there's a half aisle on the grocery store now across from the bread that's all rubs and sauces that you never used to see there.
But how exciting.
Totally.
It used to just be McCormick. That was all we had.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, or
great.
whatever the Amish folks were, you know, bringing that they were allowed to sell in, but that was it. You know, now it's a huge selection.
That really is it.
I mean, there's definitely
I think
options.
for that, it is a tight market because there are so many people, but I think to me that just says it's possible, that other people have broken out and that it's possible. So for us, one of our mottos is what's good for barbecue is good for us. The more people that are out there cooking, the better. And maybe you have somebody in your audience that I don't have in mind that you can reach with your product or with your message about barbecue. And the more of us that are spreading that barbecue love and education and experience, the more it's like wildfire. The more people are going to get into it and the larger the market will be, and the more retail space barbecue seasonings and sauces can command than they previously could.
Is it wise to immediately start trying to get in with brick and mortar places or actual physical retail spaces and not solely rely on online sales?
I think it depends on your business model and your goals. So for us, we definitely make more direct to consumer. Your profit margins are not going to be as high selling to retail because you have to sell them at wholesale prices, where we can sell direct to consumer at cost. And, you know, all we pay for is, you know, the packing and fulfillment fees, essentially above and beyond what it costs us to make it. So for us, direct to consumer is higher profit margins, but we also see a lot of potential for volume with retail partners. And retail partners started reaching out to us from the beginning. As soon as people saw that we were selling rubs and sauces, I think a lot of people that follow us are, you know, they work in grocery stores, they work at barbecue stores, they patron barbecue stores, and they wanted our product close to them. So we were lucky to have retail partners start reaching out to us early on. You know, Utah out here, we have Barbecue Pit Stop. They were the first ones to ever carry our product, and that's because that's where I shopped for barbecue stuff. So as soon as I had some, I walked in with a bottle and I said, "How many do you guys need?" So retail for us was a part of the plan from the beginning, because we see a lot of potential for our product, because our brand is so targeted to the backyard barbecue enthusiast. We're not selling to competition teams. We're not, we don't put MSG in our seasonings. We don't use liquid smoke or high fructose corn syrup. We're really focused on ingredients that are high quality and geared toward the backyard cook versus the competition cook. So I think there is a lot of potential for us to continue to grow in retail. But that might not be the case for everybody that's developing seasonings. Maybe you're developing seasonings specifically for the competition circuit, and a full retail program might not be in your best interest. So I think it just it depends on your goals, and it depends on your business model. But I think either work great.
All great information coming from Hey Grill Hey's creator, Susie Bullock, and you can find her over at heygrillhey.com. Susie, last question before I let you go this evening, and has nothing to do with retail or business, but it has to do, of course, with the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's right.
Oh!
So, as I had mentioned 50,000 times on the show, next Wednesday, we're going to be doing an exclusive airing along with the folks over at the American Royal on revealing who will be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame, or who will get inducted this year. 3 of the 9 finalists that I am about to reveal to you. I'm just wondering, out of these 9 names, and no disrespect or shade or whatever the kids call it these days, on 6 other people that maybe you don't pick, but I'm just wondering, if you had a vote, who would you pick? And the names are Bill Arnold from Blues Hog, Ollie Gates from Gates Barbecue, Meathead Goldwyn from AmazingRibs.com, John Marcus, Ed Mitchell, Rodney Scott, Joe Traeger, Darren Worth, and Leanne Whippet. I assume you know all of them, but if you need clarification, yes. I'm happy. Okay, good. So of those 9, who are your 3?
Leanne Whippet, because that lady can cook some barbecue. And I really think, for me personally, and I mentioned this, I cooked against Leanne on Barbecue Brawl also. She beat me in the finale. Leanne paved the way for women like me to enter the base. And I don't know if I would have had the same level of confidence had I not seen her competing on Barbecue Pitmasters the first season, truly. And so I think she was a waymaker for females in the barbecue space and continues to be that. So I hope that she gets in. I hope Meathead gets in, because he is primarily a food writer and he writes about barbecue. And that, again, is a path that I'm on. And a lot of times that's not the recognition that you see in the barbecue world. It's competition in restaurants, right? And so to have somebody like Meathead become inducted into the Hall of Fame is really cool. And then I would say Rodney Scott, because he embodies a lot of what barbecue is to me. It was something that was handed down, generation to generation, which is really fantastic. But he made it his own. He took his own path forward, and he's opened restaurants, and he's changed things to suit his own style. And I think there is a place in barbecue for reverence for where we've come from, and personalization and, alteration to what works now.
Well, thank goodness somebody's giving me direct answers tonight. Myron Mixon backed right out. I mean, I was like, come on. He's the winningest man in barbecue. And he's like, I'm not telling you who I voted for. I was like, all right, Myron, nevertheless. So we get him from Susie Bullock here, which I appreciate. All right, Susie, so that's it for me. Anything to promote or tell us about here before I let you go and before we see you next quarter?
Sure. Right now we are face first in a full website redesign, and we're actually, those great, fantastic labels that we did for a couple $100 a few years ago are getting a facelift, and we're rebranding the website to match. So that'll all launch the first week in June. We're also rolling out a new barbecue sauce with the line, and later this summer we're rolling out 2 new seasonings. So that's very exciting. We have an app that's going to be launching when the website relaunches, so people can download the app and access our recipes for free. And I'm also going to be appearing on a Food Network show on June 21st. first that you guys should go check out.
Very busy. That's why they call her Hey Grill Hey. And you can go over to heygrillhey.com, follow her on social media at Hey Grill Hey as well. It's Susie Bullock. Susie, really appreciate the time tonight. And, of course, the incredibly insightful information. You can thank Todd for me as well, because I know he was a big brain trust part of that whole thing as well.
Oh,
so pass my regards to him. And we will see you again next quarter.
Absolutely. Thank you, Greg.
You got it. There she
Have
is.
a good night.
Susie Bullock right there from heygrillhey.com in social medias at Hey Grill Hey as well. All right, so let's go ahead and play a little catch up here. I mean, if you are into the sauce and the rubs, or you're looking to do that, come on. What are you waiting for? Listen to everything that Susie said. She did it, and now being very successful at it. So you can too if you listen to what she has. Follow the directions. Follow the great stuff there. Let me talk to you quickly about Primo before we come back, and potentially give you a passage from the reference material. Primo cookers, oval shaped, right? It's different than the round stuff. It's oval shaped. It's a patented oval design that offers true two-zone cooking. More than 60 cooking configurations are possible. They're made right here in the States. They have precision-controlled manufacturing, and they have the highest quality ceramics in these cookers. They have the new Easy Lift Hinge, which reduces force to lift the grill head by 70%. Or in other words, it turns a 35-pound lift into an 8-pound lift. Easy stuff. You don't have to be working out every day to lift the head of a Primo anymore. It's easy with a new lift hinge. Also, precision control top and bottom air controlling. Now it's got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 2 finger widths. Numbers on the top and the bottom, easy to use. You can retro those on your current Primo if you go to your dealer and pick them up. The website, primogrill.com. The Instagram, Primo Ceramic Grill. And the Facebook, Primo Ceramic Grills. And again, the website, Primo Grill, singular, primogrill.com. I got to get my hands on one. I can't wait to cook on a Primo cooker AFP. All right, we have a little bit of an open. If you want to weigh in on the Susie Bullock conversation, you're more than welcome to do that. 216-220-0966. And we will also give away some free stuff here in just 1 second. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Now's the time on the show where we give stuff away, yeah. It's free and you don't have to pay a thing, that's why it's free, yeah.
All right, we're back at it, giving away free stuff. That's why it's known as the Fun and Frivolity Show, everybody. We tried last week to no success. However, we're giving it away again this week. The One Beer Grilling Book from Mike Lang, friend of show, fast and easy, and fresh recipes for great grilled meals you can make before you finish your first cold one. And rest assured, and easy and comfortably, knowing that Mike Lang himself took all the pictures on this book, because he's a really good picture taker, or as we call in the business, photog. Castle Point Books puts it out. You can have it for free if you email me and in the subject line put Hey Grill Hey. You can win Mike Lang's new book. Once again, shoot me an email. First one in the subject line, Hey Grill Hey. You win the book. Don't put anything else in the email. Just send it. Otherwise, you're going to lose because you took too much time. Hey Grill Hey in the subject line. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Good luck.
Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. Head on over to smithfield.com throughout this grilling season of 2021 for recipes given to you by pitmasters like Chris Lilly, Darren Worth, and Ernest Cervantes. With mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients, Smithfield Fresh Pork is quite simply some of the finest pork money can buy. Also, go to smokinwithsmithfield.com if you're a competitor, if you're registered with the Committed Cooks program, and as you finish first in pork or ribs, you can list your brags right there at smokinwithsmithfield.com. All right. Where did we end last week? Going to get ready to read you a passage from the #1 reference material of horse meat, authored by Leon Kenny, of course. By the way, Diane Me with an eagle eye, she did notice that my watch was upside down for video today. I wore it all day today. I don't usually wear it all day on every Tuesday, but today I caught myself wearing it upside down, and I apologize for that. But it's still a great-looking watch. I'll tell you about it here in just a few moments. But first, we're going to do the latest passage from Processing, Cooking, and Buying Horse Meat for Human Consumption by Leon Kenny. So sit back and relax as I read you a passage entitled Composition and Cooking. As in all other cooking, there is no certain method for preparing horse meat that will inevitably end in success for all who try it. Some individual experimentation is necessary. Experimentation based, however, on a complete understanding of the basic differences in the composition of horse meat and beef. For consistently successful horse meat cookery can only be achieved when the cook understands how the composition of horse meat affects the cooking of it. According to a competitive analysis, horse meat contains 9.3% less water, 7.1% less fat than beef. Herein lies the root of the whole cooking problem. For with less moisture to begin with, horse meat has somewhat drier beef. And with less fat to hold the moisture in, horse meat has a tendency to lose more of its natural juices than beef during the cooking process. Worse still, when the juices escape and the meat fibers contract or shrink together, giving the meat a tough, rubbery consistency. Oh dear. Thus, the first rule of successful horse meat cookery, I love the word cookery, is the preservation of natural juices in the meat. There are, of course, many methods by which this preservation can be effected. And foremost among these is the careful control of heat temperatures. With few exceptions, horse meat must nearly always be cooked at extreme low temperatures. Too much heat, and the tenderest pieces of the horse meat become dry, tough, and rubbery. In this respect alone, horse meat cannot be cooked like beef. Other suggestions for preserving the natural juices in the meat during the cooking process will all be discussed in the following sections on Cut and Cooking. Here we go! Next week. Stay tuned for page 6. Tenderloin steaks of the horse meat thing. All right. Well, that was just a dandy passage, no doubt about it. By the way, we do have a winner of Mike Lang's book. Many of you tried to come in, and many of you lost. But you know who didn't lose? Scott Rittenbaugh. Look at him. Way to go, Scott. Now, to make it extra painful, send me a new email. And in the subject line, put Mike Lang book winner, and then send me your shipping info. And perhaps tomorrow or Friday, I'll get that book out to you. Please Scott, before you send me that email, and I'm only asking this because I got yelled at on social media. If you want me to sign Mike's book, like me autograph Mike's book, please put that in your email so I know to do that. Somebody, rule number 1 of the show applies. No names, please. I sent their book, and they didn't ask me to sign it, and I didn't. And boy, did they take me to task on social media. They sent it back for me to sign it so much. So when I send that book out, I will send the Mike Lang book out. And Scott, as always, thank you for listening. Congratulations on your huge win. That's a free book for you right there. All right, now let's go ahead and catch up one more time as we get ready to close the show down for this evening, a little late. Green Mountain Grills, that's right. Providing you no less than 2 lines to choose from, a choice line, which is right up the alley for people that want to save a few bucks. They don't need all this technical hubbubaloo, internal meat probes, Wi-Fi connectivity. I'm going to stay by the grill because I'm a man or a woman. Or whatever you are. I'm going to stay by the cooker. I like it. I don't need that schmancy stuff. The choice line is right up your alley. Jim Bowie is the biggest. Daniel Boone's the middle size. Can't go wrong with either of them. And you're saving ducats. Look at you. Now, maybe you're a little bit more successful in life. You love the technological advances that things have been bringing you over these last many years. You might want the Prime Plus line cooker, friend. Same size as Jim Bowie and the Daniel Boone. But on this cooker, you get a little bit more of a robust chassis build. You get a front folding, or you get a front table on the cooker. You get peek-in windows on the main cooking chamber and the pellet hopper. You get not 1, but 2 internal meat probes, Wi-Fi connectivity, and you can control it all from an app. Prime line. Both the Prime and the Choice line can accommodate your pizza oven insert. And there's a travel one as well called the Davy Crockett. So if you want to take it on your next tailgate or summer softball tournament or whatever you're into, you can take it along with you. You can plug it right into the 12-volt outlet of your car. You can use the clips and clip it onto a car battery. And you can use a standard outlet if you want to. All different ways to power this thing. And you're not sacrificing an incredible amount of capacity for portability, so don't worry about that either. Plus, it's wood-fired pellet awesomeness. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. They have a dealer network. So find the dealer nearest you, visit them, get educated, then buy one, and be successful right out of the gate. And you know what? Don't go on any of these stupid Facebook pages. I've had it up to here with them. They're so stupid. I hate this grill. I hate that. Shut up. Just learn how to use it. Ask me. I'll be your Facebook. GreenMountainGrills.com. We are back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rempe.
That's right. Your homoerotic host right here. Brought to you by Vortic Watches, a small batch custom watch manufacturing and vintage restoration company located in northern Colorado. They take antique American pocket watches and turn them into wrist watches, just like this one. Their mission, preserve and enhance the legacy of manufacturing excellence in America. In order to do that, they combine traditional and cutting-edge technology to create unique, quality, functional timepieces with exceptional value. Here's the best part. Every watch that they make is unique and one of a kind. Vortic founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out VorticWatches.com for more information or to try and buy one, and they go quickly every day. By the way, if I might tell you, the best part of showing this watch off, let me see if I can get any type of camera angle for this. No, not there. Let me pull up this interface and see if this works. I know I got one somewhere. Where'd it go? Wait, I just saw my hand. There it is. This is the coolest part of the watch right here. This is what you call the movement. This is actually what makes the front of the watch go. And it's got a full exhibition case back, as you can see right here. You can see the escapement wheels running. The escapement wheel is powered by the mainspring. You power the mainspring by using the crown right here. And this is a mechanical wind, so you do have to watch this wind. You do have to wind this watch every day, or any of them that they sell. But taking it off and handing it to somebody and then having them turn it over and getting to see the movement on the back of this thing is so neat. And it's not, there we go. And to see the escapement wheels running down there, it's 17 joule movement. I mean, it is so cool. And this is like a 100-year-old watch right here. It could be more than 100 years. Very cool. All right, that's going to do it. All the way back in the first hour, we were talking with Memphis in May most current champ, Myron Mixon, his 5th win at Memphis in May, his 6th hog win, his 5th overall grand championship. He's now tied with Big Bob Gibson's for 5 overall wins. After Myron Mixon, we had first-time guest of the show, Bill Oakley, a professional and respected fast food reviewer. However, a far more accomplished academic and professional writer for The Simpsons. You know The Simpsons. For any number of years, multiple Emmy Awards won, a Harvard Lampoon. The list goes on. Great stuff. Bill was great. Good insight. And did rate, much to my surprise, the Popeye's Chicken Sando from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst thing he's ever eaten in his life, and 10 being the best out of all foods ever, as a 7. By the way, folks, I still have not had the Popeye's chicken sandwich. I haven't. He might motivate me to try it. Second hour, we enjoyed extended segment with Susie Bullock from Hey Grill Hey. We talked about her time at Memphis in May, and then we had a fairly in-depth discussion about bringing products to market. So if you're somebody who makes a rub or a sauce and you think this is your year, this is your time, if you didn't hear this interview, but you're somebody who's friends with somebody who wants to do that, send them this interview so they can hear this great info that Susie had. I mean, there are a few that are as successful as she is within this realm doing what she does. So the info is advice, or the advice is solid, and the info top-notch. HeyGrillHey.com, her website. A big show planned for you next week, of course. We have the first hour of Barbecue Media. Robert F. Moss rejoins the show, then Derek Ridges in his regular segment. And then the second hour, we have the Embedded Correspondence, where we will be hashing it out for our picks for the Barbecue Hall of Fame of 2021. And then we will have round 2 of the American Idol Barbecue Central Show edition. Who knows what's going to happen there? Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Reppy, saying September 11th, 2001, I will never forget, and good night now.
This is Brian Mayer, host of Hot Sauce Weekly, and you are listening to BCRN, all barbecue and grilling all the time.